All right, I just was visiting with my friend Gwen today, and we just wanted to get on and share with you guys a little bit about her journey and what she's experienced so far. So I just want to introduce you guys to Gwen. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks for asking, and I appreciate you jumping on today. It'll be a fun visit.
You bet.
Now I know you've been on this journey for a while, so you kind of got a few things under your belt. Can you kind of share with us just a little bit about how life was for you before you found this program?
You bet. I was one of those expert dieters where I would do really well when I was motivated. And then it's like this switch would go off. And the next thing I know, I couldn't get back on track of whatever I was doing. And so I would yo-yo a ton. I mean, literally in a 6-month window, I could lose 30 pounds and gain 30 pounds right back. Like it was that dramatic of a pendulum. So when you do that to your body, it's hard on your body. So I was tired all the time. I have, three different ranges of sizes of clothing in my closet because I never knew what size I was going to be. But overall, I just felt frustrated that I couldn't figure it out and that I couldn't keep the weight off. So I was just tired from the damage I was doing to my body.
So do you feel like now where you're currently at, do you feel that things have started to change with, like you mentioned, a lot of it was kind of with mindset. You couldn't really figure out that gap in between. So my guess is that you're starting to build micro habits to develop the macro habits for where you currently are. Is that kind of what you're looking at, or something a little different?
Yes. So the thing that I've learned over the course of being involved with this company and realizing that the reason why I couldn't stick to anything is because I was making it all about the food, and food does not drive willpower, and willpower does not keep you healthy or clean or sober on any addiction. And what I know is that food hits the same or sugar hits the same pleasure center in the brain as heroin and alcohol. So I would never expect a heroin addict or an alcoholic to just white knuckle it and be sober forever. Yet for some reason, I thought I could just change what was going into my mouth and I'd stay healthy the rest of my life. And so that's the thing that I've really recognized now is, have I been able to stay the course 100% on my health and wellness journey? No. Most people don't just say, all right, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to do this thing and work on the mindset and the food and then have a straight road to success. They say that it takes 7 times in rehab for somebody to finally stay sober. And I would say the same thing, that a lot of people that I've helped, and myself included, I do really well with the mindset, and little things slip, but the slips become less and less because my ultimate goal is health and wellness. And as I'm getting healthier mentally, it's retraining those neural pathways in my brain to not go haywire on these major, and not benders, that's the wrong word, but once you start eating carbs, I don't know about you, but this is like the worst time of the year. Like last night, people were knocking on my door, dropping one thing after another. And in my past, I actually tested this because to me, I'm not worried about gaining and losing weight anymore because I understand the science of it and why it's right here. So 2 years ago, I actually made a decision to do what I used to do, because you forget your old patterns when you're getting healthier. So from the time Thanksgiving hit, I chose to eat whatever came through my door, whatever my kids wanted, till New Year's, right? That's only a 6-week stretch. And where we live, I don't know, I know about you, same thing, Emily, things are coming in your door. We have amazing neighbors, right? And a lot of those amazing neighbors bring amazing goodies, right? I put on 22 pounds in a 6-week period from all that food, because I'm one of those people, and I know you are too, that once you start eating that came to my door the other day, that I did have one, amazed, they were little pretzels with a Rolo smashed and melted in between. I'm like, what the heck? Salty sweet goodness, right? But in my old brain, I would have eaten one and said I'm eating one, and one would have turned into maybe every 15 or 20 minutes grabbing another one. So did I sit there with this huge bowl and eat them all? No, because my mind wouldn't let me do that. But one after another, all of a sudden, 3 hours later, you could have eaten 20 of those things. And so those are the habits that our program has really helped me recognize, is that unconscious eating, and also how to set a goal and let that goal override those triggers and addictions. So that's where, for me, this has been the most life-changing of all the things that I've ever tried, because I always made it about the food going in my mouth, and it really isn't about that. It's about what goes on in the head. And if you don't fix this diet that you're doing right now will work until it doesn't. And then you find another one, and then you find another one, and you keep diet hopping when it's not about the diet, it's about the mental. Would you say it's been kind of the same journey for you as well?
Yeah, yeah. Mental is, to me, it's one of the big things that is worth the weight in gold with this that I've learned is the education piece of it. It's been massive. So the one thing I did want to ask you is obviously you kind of mentioned you were kind of the dieter before you found this. So what was the big, like, I'm sure there was a lot of things, but what was the biggest mind shift from you when you went from diet to a lifestyle?
Um, good question. I've never thought about that. What motivated me to start this was my friend was killing it doing our program, and I was trying to eat what I thought was healthy eating, and she was just doubling what I could do weight loss wise. And that's where I got in, but then got going, had a really great run. But then that's when that mindset thing hit, because when you're motivated, you can create whatever you want. But the minute that flip switches, you lose motivation and you can't figure out what's wrong. And that's where I would say, as I started yo-yoing in a 15-pound window, luckily it was a lot lower weight than yo-yoing up in the top, max weight category. I kept finding dialogue saying, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? And I had brought a handful of friends along for the journey with me, and we all were in that same stuck cycle. Luckily, we'd all lost 30 or 40 pounds, over a course of time, but we were in this cycle. And that's when I finally was like, there's something more to this. And once I was able to engage my brain, it clicked. And yeah, so like I said, do I have times where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to eat whatever for a little period of time? Of course, we all have our little windows, but it's not crazy amounts of food. And I was never a binge eater. It was just this slow progressions where now my brain doesn't do that anymore. It doesn't allow me to. And I recognize when I'm full, or when I'm like, what's a lot of food and what's just mindless eating. So yeah, I would say that once that flip switched off, and I couldn't figure out why what worked for me 3 months ago wasn't working for me now. Once I engaged that mental part, it's been a whole different ball game for me.
So now this will kind of go a little bit deep, but I know we challenge each other basically to find a why you're on this journey. How important do you feel like your why is to your journey?
Well, it's big because, it's so funny that I think about, like, I don't have little kids anymore. So when I started this, my kids were little. This was 6 years ago. So my youngest was 4, the next one was 6, and they were still on the floor playing with cars and toys and Barbies and all that, where they're not doing that as much anymore. I'm now going and sitting and watching them play sports and things like that. But the thing for me is, I was just tired all the time. And when you're tired, you really can't be present. So even though I don't need energy to be down on the floor as my why back then of having the energy to play Barbies and play toys and play games, it's now having the energy to be present with them in the things that they love. And so for me, when I'm tired all the time, I'm not present. I'm just exhausted thinking about the next thing I have to do. And the words have to become my dialogue. Okay, I've got to get them to volleyball, and then I've got to go to batting practice, and blah, 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 blah. Where it's when I'm in a healthy state of mind and healthy body. We talk about healthy body and healthy mind go hand in hand. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go watch them at batting practice. I'm so excited for volleyball practice or what have you. So the energy behind it is why my why is so important, because I don't want my kids looking back going, my mom was always so tired and Netflix binging and all of that kind of stuff. Do I watch Netflix? Heck yeah. But I'm not tired all the time, just going from one thing to another that I have to do. So yeah, that why is important, because if you don't know why you want to lose weight other than you want to look good, that's not going to sustain. your mental capacity to stay the course with your health, because it's really not about your health. It's about how you look. And that's not a sustainable why. It's a first layer, of course. But as you start going, you're realizing there's so much more than just being happy with how you look. There's so much mental baggage that goes along with not liking how you look.
Mhm. And my guess is when you feel better, your confidence lifts, your brain fog is gone. So when you go to spend time with your kids, you feel better and you can focus solely on that and not really like, I feel like junk. I'm tired. My head hurts. That is a big shift right there, I'm guessing as well.
Totally. And I think another thing is when you're eating healthy and you don't have a game plan, constantly your brain's like, okay, I should be eating better. I really should think about what I'm going to do. Then should I do keto? Should I do Atkins? Should I do Weight Watchers? And you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I remember that I started really researching what I was going to do to finally get healthy. And I remember that January, I didn't start doing our program till June. But I remember sitting there breaking down on a piece of paper what the nutritional content and outcomes of people's reviews on social media or whatever of keto, Atkins, Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig. I mean, you don't know how many times I had food in my cart on Jenny Craig, and I was like defaulting. And the problem was every single program had some different reason why theirs was the best. And so a confused mind doesn't create any action. And so I sat for 6 months trying something for, 2 to 6 weeks. And then I lost motivation, didn't understand that at the time. So then I jumped to the next thing and then the next thing. And so that was where I was like, I do not get this. What's wrong with me? But once I understood that the how you're going to lose weight with the why of why you want to lose the weight, and that emotional part, once that all goes together, boom, your body just steps in line and you really stay the course and get to where you want to go.
Mhm. So with obviously you mentioned you've been in this for a few years. So with the years under your belt, how excited are you about the future? Do you feel like this is completely sustainable, or what are your thoughts with that?
Yes, totally. Because the thing that when anybody asks me about what we do, and I just say, all we're doing is teaching you balanced nutrition, just like a dietitian or a nutritionist would teach you. It's just eating 6 small balanced meals a day. And when you understand that, you can eat that way the rest of your life. Where when you look at some of these other programs that are out there, I'm like, well, if you stay mentally the course, what's the exit strategy? Can you eat that way the rest of your life? So what you did to lose the weight, can you maintain eating that way the rest of your life? Most people, their answer is, no, my goal is just to get the weight off. And my question always is, well, what's next? So for me, that's what's exciting about this is at the end of the day, eating healthy like the dietitians and nutritionists tell you to eat, that's what education, going to college teaches you. That's what most doctors are telling you to do, unless they're on some other diet kick because they were able to maintain that for themselves. So that's what I'm excited about, is that I know that this is sustainable for anybody that's willing to do the mental part. But like, even if you were to just work with a dietitian or nutritionist, they're talking about the food part. But a lot of them don't have the tools our program has on that mental part to couple the two to really create that sustainability.
Mhm. One more question I just kind of popped into my head. Maybe just you can elaborate just a little bit. But what do you feel like is the most valuable thing that you have learned throughout this process or this journey that you're on? Because we know this
Oh,
journey won't end. There's never a destination. We have
right.
this journey. So what's the most valuable piece that you have found so far?
That I would say that so many people put such high expectations on themselves that when they go off course, then they feel like a failure, totally go off course. As I say, they fall off the wagon runs over them, and then keeps dragging them through the dirt, right?
Mhm.
Like it's an all or nothing mentality. And again, because I understand the psychology of how sugar hits that same pleasure center as heroin and alcohol, I try to remind people that when they start something and they really work on that mental, just like they say in AA and rehab, it's going to probably take 7 times of, let's not say starting and stopping, but starting, slipping, focusing, slipping, until your brain really can grasp all those next steps. And so that's the thing is that that for me, that's what I would say I've learned is I always was a black and white dieter. That like the minute I won the year before I started our program, I won a weight loss contest in the city of Centerville. And every week my friend and I would go down, we'd weigh in and all this. And I got this big fat check. I mean, I don't remember how much it was. And what did we do? Our whole thing is the minute we got our checks, we went to Olive Garden, and then we went and got Nielsen's frozen custards as our reward, because I hadn't learned that mental thing. Food is never a reward. You know what I mean? And so for me, that's what I've learned, to remove food as a reward, remove food as an entertainment piece, and really what my boundaries are of what I do and don't want long term. And so that's what I'd say has been really the biggest aha for me, is it's not all or nothing. It's just little blips on the radar in your optimal health journey.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I learned a lot there. That was a valuable piece of information for me too. So I appreciate you jumping on. We'll
You
see you.
bet. See ya.